recite the Quran. We pray to Allah to put right our hearts, ask for forgiveness and make a new start. Raising our hands we ask for His rahmah, hear us our Lord and grant us Jannah. Ramadan is here, the month that is blessed. Ramadan is here, the month we love best. Ramadan Fatawa.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ramadan Fatawa. I'm your host, Jamil Rashid, and I'd like to give a very special welcome back to Sheikh Muhammad Salah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for being back with us.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, let me remind you of our telephone numbers. It's 202 is the country code, and it's 38555 and 249. Our email address is ask@huda.tv. Sheikh, I'd like to start with an email. Brother Rehan. He's asking a question which I think is going to be asked throughout our Ramadan Fatawa shows. It's about somebody starting a fast in one country, then moving to a different country and finishing off the fast. He said, I'm travelling to India on the 28th of Ramadan for vacation. I started in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and they started a few days before India. If I fast everything together, it will be about 31 or 32 days. How do I go about fasting? Yes, Sheikh.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Praise be to Allah. I praise Him and I seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is the truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, no one can show him guidance. May the best peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the beginning, I would like to send congratulations for the entire ummah, particularly the viewers, with this blessed month of Ramadan. May Allah accept from all of us. Ameen. I believe that this is a very frequently asked question, and particularly approaching the Eid time, people who are going back home, traveling back and forth, will find it difficult to figure out whether to fast with their own country which they began with, or with a visiting country, and so on. The answer to all these questions lie in a single hadith that the Prophet ﷺ has said, الصوم يوم تصومون والإفطار أو الفطر يوم تفطرون. Meaning, you should fast on the day when you people and your congregation, your locality, begin fasting. And of course, we understand that we begin fasting upon sighting the moon of the beginning of the month. And similarly, you should break your fast whenever you all break your fast. And the ummah or the congregation or the city or the state would do so upon sighting the moon of the new month of Shawwal. Accordingly, if somebody, for instance, fasted because he was visiting Saudi Arabia to perform Umrah, and he began with them a day earlier than his own country, then when he returned, he found that they have fasted a day less or a day extra. There are two different conditions. Number one, had they fasted a day less or a day extra, whenever they celebrate Eid, he must celebrate Eid with them and break his fast with them. Because if it is Eid in this country, that means it is Eid for everybody. And while fasting during the month of Ramadan was mandatory, fasting during the first day of the month of Shawwal, which is the Eid day, is prohibited and is haram. So you must break your fast, even though you did not complete the course. If you have fasted only 29 days, that's perfectly fine, because the minimum will be 29 days. But if it was less, in some countries the difference will be 2 days, and sometimes it happened 3 days. In this condition, you must make up the course until you complete the minimum, which is 29 days. But if you go to the visiting country or your home country and you find them that fasting beyond the 30 days, which is the maximum of the month, of course, let's say 31 or 32 days, once again, according to the hadith, you must observe fasting with them. You should not break your fast while everybody else is fasting. And these days will be considered for you tatawwa, or voluntary fasting, and you've completed the course of the month of Ramadan, and may Allah accept.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, we've got a question here from Brother Noel. He's saying now he's having a problem with a particular Muslim brother, and he's been avoiding this particular brother. He said, I've forgiven him for the injustice he's done to me, but he says, every time I see this person now, I don't actually want to partake in any conversation or be friendly towards him and talking to him. He says, am I allowed to do this to my Muslim brother?
We have several sound hadith which support one another to benefit us with a very important rule. The Prophet ﷺ has said that we are to one another like a single body. And he said, prohibiting us from abandoning one another, boycotting one another, لا تقاطعوا ولا تدابروا ولا تناجشوا, and do not do anything that would lead to cutting your relations with one another. وَكُونُوا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ إِخْوَانًا, be all the servants of Allah, brothers. Allah the Almighty in the Quran said, إِنَّمَا, and the word إِنَّمَا in Arabic is a tool that is used to limit the quality to certain people or a particular person. أداة حصر وقصر. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً, meaning the believers are not but brothers. And this is how we should be. I understand that many people, they have hurt feeling because somebody hurt them or whatever. The Prophet ﷺ says, this one would turn his back and this one would turn his back to his brother. وَخَيْرُهُمَا مَنْ يَبْدَأُ بِالسَّلَامِ, and the best of both of them is the one who begins the other with the greeting and says Assalamu alaikum, even though maybe he's the one who's being wronged and he's the one who's being oppressed. But he knows that he's dealing with Allah the Almighty. He's not dealing with humans. So he does that for the sake of Allah. And it is worth of mentioning here to remember that the Prophet ﷺ, once when he was sitting in the masjid, he announced to his companions, يَدْخُلُ عَلَيْكُمُ الْآنَ رَجُلٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. Right now would enter upon you from this gate a man who will be amongst the dwellers of paradise. So all the companions were waiting, anxiously waiting for the man who would show up. It was Abdullah ibn Salam, the Jewish rabbi who accepted Islam upon the coming of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to Al-Madinah, and when he recognized him by his traits which he found in the Torah, in the original Old Testament. So he accepted Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said that, هو من أهل الجنة. Then the second day he repeated the same remark, will enter upon you right now from this gate a man who will be from amongst the dwellers of paradise. The companions were looking once again, waiting anxiously, and there was Abdullah ibn Salam once again. And the third night likewise. So one of the young companions, it was Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with him. He said to Abdullah ibn Salam that, would you host me in your house for 3 days? So he accepted, and the purpose of asking him for so that he would stay with him and he would examine his ibadah and his worship at night. See, what does he do so that he deserves to be declared as min ahli jannah, one of the dwellers of paradise, while he is still alive? What an honor. So for 3 days he did not notice anything different than any ordinary person does. Only one thing, that he would pray Isha and his watr. Then if he would wake up at night, he would say Subhanallah or Alhamdulillah. He would remember Allah the Almighty. In the third night he said, Ya Ammi, oh uncle, I've got to tell you that the only reason I decided to come and stay with you is to figure out what made you so special. What made you so special? That Rasulullah ﷺ said, so and so and such, that there will come upon you right now, رَجُلٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. So I wanted to know, what do you do? He said, Ya ibn akhi, my nephew, it's only what you've seen. I don't do anything special. But only one thing, when I go to sleep, I don't have any hurt feeling. I don't carry any baghda, any shahna, any jealousy, any hatred, any bad feeling towards any of the Muslims. I make sure that my heart is pure. By this, he deserved to be min ahli jannah while he was still walking on earth. And that's why we figure out the meaning of the prophetic statement, وَخَيْرُهُمَا مَنْ يَبْدَأُ بِالسَّلَامِ. So when you begin greeting your brother and say, Assalamu alaikum, and you hug him, actually, before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're the best of both of them. This is one thing. It is not really necessary to establish a relationship based on that you socialize together and you go to each other's houses and so on. But at least, if this person has hurt you so much, at least maintain the minimum requirement in Islam, which is exchange the greetings whenever you meet one another. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And whenever there is a good occasion, you congratulate one another. And if you hear that your brother, even though he hurt you, is sick, you rush to visit him. If he is in calamity, you rush to assist him, and so on.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, we have Sister Bilqisu from Nigeria. Sister, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa
Assalam
rahmatullahi wa
wa
barakatuh.
barakatuh.
I would like to ask a question regarding inheritance.
Okay.
My father died 16 years ago, and my older brother has refused to share the inheritance. I was thinking of going to the Sharia court to redress on it. I would like to know, as a female Muslim, do I have a right to go to the Sharia court? And do I need the consent of all other heirs to the property before I can do that?
Okay.
طيب.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Bilkisu from Nigeria there. Okay, we have Sister Wafa from Egypt. Sister, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
Welcome back,
barakatuh.
Sheikh, and thank you for all your helpful advice.
Jazakumullah.
My question is, what is the best way to do dua after finishing and completing Quran during the Taraweeh prayer? Because I hear some opinions say that doing dua after finishing Quran during the Taraweeh prayer is not from the Sunnah. Is this a right opinion or not? Jazakumullah khair.
Barakallahu feek. Yeah, Sister Wafa from Egypt there, Sheikh. Okay, let's take a question here from Sister Yasmin. Now, she's asking a question about reading the Quran or doing dhikr while in a state in menstruation. And I think she's more interested in the Quran itself, Sheikh.
Yeah. Well, the vast majority of the Muslim jurists, al-fuqaha, al-jumhur, have considered the menses, of course, is a major impurity which would prevent and stop a woman from touching the Quran and flipping the pages of the Quran without a barrier. Yet they differed concerning the permissibility of reading and reciting by the heart. The vast majority as well, they said, likewise, similar to a male who is a junub, said that if a male is in a state of janaba, is not allowed to recite a single verse of the Quran, nor to touch the Quran based on قول الله تعالى لا يمسه إلا المطهرون, and it is not permissible, in addition to touch, it is not permissible to recite it as well, except whatever is considered as a supplication, رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيَّ, and it happened to be a verse as well. They exempted from that a woman who is teaching the Quran, a Quranic teacher, or a student, because she has regularly to study. And if the menses come regularly every month, 7, 8, 10 days, more or less, that would stop her and keep her behind in her homework and fulfilling her duties. So they said that she's allowed to recite wherever she has to recite as a mean of revising, as a mean of memorizing, and so on, or even teaching or studying, but without touching the Quran. And if she were to touch the Quran, she would have to touch it through a barrier such as gloves and so on. But as far as the dhikr, nothing could prevent you from making dhikr whatsoever. Standing, sitting, lying down. The only one place that you are not allowed to mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala nor make dhikr is while you are in the bathroom or answering the call of nature, and of course during an intercourse.
Jazakallah Sheikh. Okay, I've got a question here. Sister Bilkisu, she just rang in. Inheritance. How do we go about dealing with inheritance? She said, my father, may Allah have mercy on him, died 16 years ago. My older brother took all the inheritance and he's not willing to share this amongst us. She said she wants to take recourse in the Sharia court. How does she go about this, Sheikh?
Allah the Almighty revealed an entire chapter in the Quran and He named it An-Nisa, the women. It might be some new news to many of the viewers. And this chapter contains a great doctrine of the inheritance, Islamic law concerning inheritance, which is an unprecedented law. In it, Allah the Almighty says, يُوصِيكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي أَوْلَادِكُمْ لِلذَّكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ. Allah advises you and enjoins upon you concerning your children, the male would take double the share of a female, so 2 to 1. But what some people do of confiscating the rights of their sisters or the female heirs is of course dhulm. And Allah the Almighty has prohibited oppression to Himself, and He made it prohibited amongst us. And once the Prophet ﷺ, when the ayah was revealed, وَأَنِحْكُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْكَ, and that you must judge amongst them with whatever Allah has revealed to you. The Prophet ﷺ had 2 heirs, 2 brothers, with a dispute concerning an inheritance. Each one claims his right and no one of them has an evidence. So the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ, I am just a human like you. I would only judge according to the evidences which I have. If any of you will be able to make his case, and if any of you is more outspoken than the other, and I judge for him and I give him something that does not belong to him, which is not his right, that is indeed his share of the fire of hell. So once the Prophet ﷺ made this announcement, and he said that if you take anything which is not yours, even if the judge judges for you, it's not yours, and you know that, that's actually your share in an-nar. So all of a sudden, both of them started saying, Ya Rasulullah, I gave Abu Marad, give it to my brother. And the second said likewise. So the Prophet ﷺ was so pleased, and he said, go and divide it amongst yourselves. I advise the brother and everyone who abuses his power and force, because he's a male, and confiscates the right of the females, his sisters or others, in the inheritance of somebody who died, that there is a day of resurrection. And there is a day of reckoning and accountability. It is better for you right now not to wait until she goes to court. Because if she goes to court and she takes her right through the court, you're still committing a major sin. But if you do it willingly, you must also ask for forgiveness and repent unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As far as for the sister's question, if he does not comply still, maybe he's not listening to us. I hope that he is listening. If he does not comply, you're absolutely right that you can take him to court, to the Sharia court, where you can obtain your right.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Okay, we have Brother Adam from the UAE. Brother, you're live in Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Kareem.
And to you too, brother.
Okay, I wanted to ask, I have 3 questions.
Okay.
The first question is concerning, is toothpaste allowed during the fast? Is it allowed to brush your teeth with toothpaste during the fast? I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
And my second question is, I have karate lessons twice a week, and my teacher says I have to bow to him. It's a short bow, and he says it's to show respect to the teacher. And my third question is, if a boy has not yet reached the age of puberty, but he has signs of puberty, is his fast valid, or does he have to wait? Does he have to wait to reach the age of puberty? Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
What kind of belt do you have, Adam?
Second yellow belt.
Okay, mashallah.
MashaAllah.
Allah yabarak fiik. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ramadan.
Okay.
Barakallah.
We've got another call straight away. Brother Abdullah from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Brother, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Abdul Jamil.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much for conducting this program.
Jazakallah khair, brother.
An opportunity for us to ask you questions daily.
May Allah accept it.
Sheikh, my question is regarding covering of the face at the time of Hajj and Umrah for women. We find women wearing this face covers, which only allow them, only allow their eyes to be exposed and the whole face is covered. I would like to know whether this is allowed at the time of Hajj and Umrah and at the time of praying while doing Hajj and Umrah.
Okay.
And my second question is, regarding recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha with the Imam. When the Imam is reciting it, like when he finishes a verse, we follow him and we finish it with him, following him, but not competing with him, so that we fulfill the hadith that we should recite Surah Al-Fatiha as well as that we listen to the Imam while he's reciting. Both these things are achieved. So please put life from the point of view of Islam.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, we've got Brother Amin from Nigeria. Brother, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please. Brother Amin, are you with us?
All right, thank you, sir.
Brother Amin? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear us, Brother Amin?
My question for the Sheikh.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. My question for the Sheikh is, I would want brother to make on those fellow brother Muslims who usually insist that until they see the moon.
Okay, I need you to if you repeat the question, brother. If you can just repeat the question, please.
All right, sir. All right, brother. And the question is, those Muslims, our fellow brother Muslims, who insist that until they see the moon by themselves before they will start fasting.
Okay, unfortunately I can't hear the question there, brother. I do ask you to call back in again, and maybe on a clearer line. If you call back in, we'll put you through straight away. That's Brother Amin there from Nigeria. Okay, Sheikh. Sister Wafa from Egypt. Best way to make a dua after you finish reciting the Quran in Taraweeh prayer. She wants to know two questions really. What's the best way? And second thing, is it actually from the Sunnah to make this dua after Taraweeh?
It was reported that some of our predecessors, particularly the great companion Anas ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, used to gather his family members upon finishing the recitation of the entire Quran and make dua, and they would say Ameen, saying, "Oh Allah, respond." So this is the tradition of reciting the dua of Khatm al-Quran. If somebody happened to finish the Quran while in Salatul Taraweeh or the Tahajjud and so on, and he came to pray Watr, and he's already making the Qunut in the Watr, that could work for both. But there is no specific event where you make a specific prayer, where you supplicate dua Khatmul Quran. That is the difference between if you happen to be praying the Taraweeh, like most of us pray, we recite a whole juz each night, and by the end of Ramadan, if we get to finish the Quran, in Salatul Watr, already every night we make Qunut. So in this Qunut, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the blessings of finishing the recitation of the Quran to accept our recitation of fasting, etc. That is the dua. In addition to, there is no particular dua that is narrated that we must recite. But it was authored and put together by some of the righteous people and the companions, and we follow their footsteps in this regard. And you could also add to these supplications your own, like asking for your family members, your wife, your children, your own self, and so on.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Okay, we've got a question from Brother Tony here. He says he's been watching Ramadan Fatawa for a couple of days, and he heard something on this which he needed some clarification on. He says when a male meets a female for the sake of marriage, is a proposal for marriage, how far can they go in terms of looking at each other? Now he says, is he allowed to ask her to take off her hijab? Is he allowed to see any other parts of her body? What's the limits for this meeting, Sheikh? And can they meet again 2 or 3 times?
The reference to that is a hadith that one of the companions got engaged. The Prophet ﷺ asked him, "Did you see her?" He said, "No." So Nabi ﷺ commanded him, said, "Unzur ilayha فإنه أحرى أن يؤدم بينكما." He said, "You must see her. That's more befitting in regards to being very happy with her and deciding to go on with this marriage based on conviction, not just based on emotions." Which part, if you see from a woman, you determine whether she's pretty or not. Whether a woman or a man. The face that expresses all the beautiful meanings of the entire body, the facial expression, and so on. So the scholars, the vast majority, Al-Jumhur, said that he's only allowed to look at the face and the hands, because that would tell the complexion, the color, and the beauty of the person, and so on. Others went further to say the hair and others. I do not really adopt this opinion, and I just say that seeing the face and the hands will be more than sufficient to determine whether and in addition to, if you want to know any further information, that could be done through one of your female maharim, your mother, your sister, your aunt, and so on, when they visit, and they will give you a detailed explanation. As far as the meeting, no meeting should be held without the presence of a male mahram from her side. A father, a brother, or a male, or an uncle, a male mahram, a valid male mahram. You may attend this meeting once, twice, several times until you both are convinced. Because the purpose of these meetings is not just to waste time, and it's not some form of dating. No, this is a very important procedure in the process of making the proper choice of your life mate.
Okay, we've got Brother Ahmed from the United Arab Emirates. Brother, you're live in Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question is about ablution. If someone make an ablution, and after the ablution finished, then he apply cream on his body, is it proper or is good?
Applied what?
Cream.
Yeah, by cream.
Yeah.
Is it good or is not? Is it right or is
طيب.
Okay, Jazakallah, Brother Ahmed from the United Arab Emirates. We got your question just in the nick of time there. Okay, Sheikh. Brother Adam from the United Arab Emirates, a young viewer there, asking a question that many people are a bit confused on. Using toothpaste, actually brushing your teeth while fasting. Is this allowed while fasting, Sheikh?
Brother Adam, thank you so much for calling. I would like to express that I'm very impressed the way you phrased your questions. You're very wise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you in wisdom and keep you steadfast. Allahumma ameen. We would like to hear from many young Muslim boys and girls like yourself. And as far as the answer for your questions, number one, it is permissible to brush your teeth, whether with the miswak or with the toothbrush and the toothpaste. Yet, it is disliked to use a toothpaste while fasting because of the possibility of swallowing the contents which have sugar and other ingredients and so on. But it is not haram. The best way to do it is to brush your teeth with the miswak or with the toothbrush with the plain water without the toothpaste. But it is permissible. It is not haram. Merely it is just disliked. Maybe you've heard that according to Al-Imam al-Shafi'i said that it is not permissible even to brush your teeth, even with the miswak, after Asr prayer. And he relied on a sound hadith. He concluded his opinion from this sound hadith for Sahih Imam al-Bukhari when the Prophet ﷺ was talking about the merits of fasting and the virtues of the person who observes fasting. Allah the Almighty says that the smell, the fragrance of the mouth of the fasting person is dearer to Allah than the fragrance of musk. So Imam al-Shafi'i said that when you tend to change the smell, you change in the smell which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes, because he took it literally. While the vast majority of the scholars said this is a figurative speech, because it may be that somebody who's fasting and does not develop this smell. And this smell actually is developed due to the lack of food and drink, and the long standing in the mouth without eating and drinking. So it could happen, and maybe it will not happen. The meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would reward you regardless if there is a smell or not. So accordingly, it's permissible to brush your teeth, whether with the miswak or with the toothbrush, even after Asr.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, we've got Brother Muhammad, also from the United Arab Emirates. Brother, you're live in Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This is regarding my daughter is pregnant.
MashaAllah.
Allah make it easy for her.
And she's been taking a medication which she was not supposed to take for painkillers and cholesterol. And a few doctors are asking to terminate the pregnancy. And some doctors say, there's no problem. So what is regarding Sharia?
How old is the baby?
No. She is pregnant.
I understand the fetus.
Fetus about 4 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. Jazakallah khair, Brother Muhammad there from the United Arab Emirates. Okay, if we can take the second question from Brother Adam. He says he's attending karate lessons, and in this attendance of the karate lessons, when they start, he has to bow in front of his teacher. This bow is a very short bow that we usually see. He says the teacher said this is just to show respect. Is this bowing allowed?
Bowing should be only done to Allah the Almighty and not to anybody else. Not to the coach, not to the teacher, not to the leader, not to the commander, only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So try to figure out another way with your coach where you can, especially the coach is a Muslim coach. So we've imported this game and the sport, yet we've mastered it. And I believe that most of us were one day into karate and so on. So we should really put our own rules into it.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, the last question from Brother Adam before we go to a short break. He says, if a boy doesn't reach puberty but has some of the signs of puberty, is his fast valid? Now, the question rather here is, can somebody fast who's younger? Is their fast going to be accepted? This is the general question.
Number one, we should not really wait until you get to the puberty age to observe fasting. The scholars say the beginning of the fasting should be at the same age of the beginning of learning the salah. In the sound hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, teach your children to pray at the age of 7 and discipline them whenever they get to the age of 10 and they do not pray properly. So we start by them at the age of 6, and it's not too early. As a matter of fact, I have some kids in the West, in the States, who used to fast for the whole month at the age of 6. It is actually due to exercise. and encouragement from the family side. The family see in their kids great potentials, but sometimes they suppress that, and sometimes they take advantage of that and they enlarge it and they grow it up in themselves. Well, you can begin by fasting for skipping one meal, for half day, for a few hours, and so on, until you get to the point where that we would be very delighted and celebrate that you finally observe fasting for an entire day. The child will be very delighted that everybody is really everybody cares for his fasting and celebrating this event. So he would tend to increase it to more than one day, and so on. As far as when does it become mandatory, it becomes mandatory like any other act of worship whenever the child reaches the puberty age, a boy or a girl. And ya Adam, the puberty age is not being only recognized by, for instance, the menses for the girls and the wood dreams for the boys. There are also co-signs such as deepening the voice, physiological signs such as growing the hair of the pubic for both boys and girls, and the underarm or the armpits. These are signs which help one another to say that this child has become an adult, and from now on he must observe fasting, he must not skip the salah, and if it is possible and he has performed hajj with his parents, that will be considered as hajjatul Islam as well.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Okay, we're going to take a short break and return inshallah in a couple of minutes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Is here. Increase your iman. Ramadan is here. Recite the Quran.
Our schools. What is missing? Join Dr. Mamdoor Muhammad in Our Schools. What is missing? He will be discussing the most common mistakes made in our educational systems.
What type of teaching they teach him, what they say to him, what books they select for him to read, what things that he listens to, what games that he begins to play with.
How to perfect the work in the school.
Our goal is to improve our school.
And we'll see practical solutions from the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of His Messenger.
Most of the criteria for success for us had been designed for us by our Creator.
Our Schools. What is missing in Ramadan on Huda TV.
Ramadan is here. Increase your iman. Ramadan is here. Recite the Quran.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ramadan Fatawa. Let me remind you of our telephone numbers. The country code is 202, then it's 38555 and 249. Our email address, just to remind you, is ask@huda.tv. I've got a call, I think, waiting. Brother Yahya from Nigeria. Brother, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, thank you very much. We used to enjoy Huda TV here in Nigeria.
Jazakallah khair.
MashaAllah. My question is that I have a wife who used to go out for Tarawih prayer in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some local Muslims here that preached against it. They say it's not right. That it's better for her to pray at home, which is the right.
Okay.
MashaAllah.
Jazakallah khair, brother. Allah yabarak feek. Nice to hear from Brother Yahya there from Nigeria. Okay, Sheikh. Brother Abdullah from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Asking a question. It's a question that we do get asked, but it's a bit of a confusion for many people. Are the women, while in a state of ihram, in Umrah and in Hajj, allowed to cover the face, Sheikh? And if they do, how do we go about covering it properly?
Well, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First of all, the ihram of a woman is in her face and hands, meaning she should keep them uncovered, the face and the hands, except if she's exposed to males who are not mahram to her. The reference to that is a hadith, a sound hadith that's narrated by al-Mu'mineen, the mother of the believers, Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha ardah. She said that we used to uncover our faces and remove our veil, the face, only the face cover, and of course the hands, so long as we're not around men. But if we pass by men or they pass by us, one of us would lower her isdal. The one who would see men or men would see her, she would lower her isdal to cover the face. So it is permissible to cover the face during ihram if you happen to be performing tawaf or sa'i. But whenever you are in the bus with women, or you go to your hotel room and you're still in the state of ihram, you must keep your face uncovered.
Okay, and how do you go about doing this covering? Is it a conventional niqab that you wear?
No, that's isdal, where that you tie a cloth around the head and you drop it from the head that covers the face. Even if it touches the face, there is no burden on you. I have seen some sisters tend to wear a cap to keep the veil away from their face. This is not a condition though.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, we've got Sister Zainab from Nigeria. Sister, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, I'd like to know if it's okay to watch comedy movies during Ramadan.
Okay.
Only during Ramadan.
Okay. Jazakallah khair, Sister. Sister Zainab there from Nigeria. Okay. Brother Abdullah Sheikh had a second question. Reciting Surah Al-Fatiha behind the Imam. Now he said one of the ways that he's doing it now is to recite behind the Imam verse by verse, so that the Imam may say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, and he will wait, listen to this, then recite this until the end, so he can listen and recite. Is this a good way of reciting the Fatiha, knowing that it's got to be recited?
He also mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ prohibited the followers from competing with him as far as the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. The ruling concerning reciting Surah Al-Fatiha in the prayer, whether you are praying by yourself singular or in congregation, as an imam or as a follower, everybody must recite Surah Al-Fatiha in each and every single rak'ah, because the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha is a pillar of each rak'ah. Without it, the salah is invalid. Yet, if you're praying behind an imam who does not give you a chance to pray, to recite Surah Al-Fatiha, there is no burden on you. You cannot do much. Some of the scholars, very eminent scholars, said that once the Imam finished the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha, you should start on your own reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, even if you started reciting the other surah and the verses and so on. So if you do that, that's fine. And if you recite, then the Imam starts, you finish Surah Al-Fatiha, that's fine as well. But if the Imam does not give you chance at all, at least you've tried your utmost and there is no blame on you.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay. Got a question from Brother Ahmed from the United Arab Emirates regarding ablution, making wudu. He says now, after he's made a wudu, he wants to apply cream on his body. He says, applying this cream, is it allowed to apply after making wudu?
Yes, that's perfectly fine as long as the ingredients have nothing that is najis. If the fats are not extracted from pork or swine, then of course it is permissible to apply a cream after performing wudu. We need to also notice that if somebody is about to perform wudu and there is a cream or there is some oily layer that prevents the water from reaching all the way to the skin, he must wash it off thoroughly first so that the wudu water would reach to the skin.
Jazakallah khair, brother. Okay, we have Brother Mansoor online from Nigeria. Brother, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question to Sheikh is, a lady who is pregnant or who is breastfeeding and she couldn't do the fasting this month, is she supposed to keep the needy after the Ramadan, or she must the fasting? The first question. The second question is, like me now having a catarrh and difficulty to breathe because of the catarrh. Can I use something like an inhaler to clear the nose, or to put something like, some elements in the hot water so that the smoke will come into my mouth and my nose to clear the blockage? Thank you very much.
Okay. Wa alaikum salam. Brother Mansoor there from Nigeria. Jazakallah khair, brother. Okay. Brother Muhammad Sheikh from the United Arab Emirates asked a question about his daughter. His daughter's pregnant, 4 weeks pregnant. She's taking some medication. They say it's quite dangerous. Some doctors, they need to terminate this pregnancy. Some say no. He says, how do I go about carrying on with this year?
I'm glad you mentioned the opinion of the two teams and that they disputed. Once there is pregnancy, Once there is pregnancy, that means there is some life there in the womb.
Subhanallah.
Okay? In very, very limited conditions, that would be allowed to terminate this pregnancy. If the pregnancy would threaten the life of the mother who's bearing the child, or if it is certain that he's dead. Other than that, you're not allowed to have abortion, simply because somebody said that the child will be deformed or anything like that, and Allah knows best.
Jazakallah, Sheikh. Okay, Brother Yahya from Nigeria, Sheikh, asked a question about his wife accompanying him to Taraweeh prayers. He says some local imams, they say this is not allowed and she should really go and be praying at home. What's the ruling on this? Are women allowed to pray the Taraweeh prayers?
Muslims definitely need to make a great distinction between what's religious and what's cultural whenever they conflict. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تمنعوا إماء الله المساجد. Do not prevent the slave women of Allah from attending the prayers in the masjid. His wives, may Allah be pleased with them, used to attend the prayer in the masjid, and not only the fard, the nafl as well, and the tahajjud and the night prayer. In the sound hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ once entered the masjid, and he noticed there was a rope stretched between two of the poles of the masjid. He inquired about it and said, what is this? What is it for? They said, Ya Rasulullah, it belongs to Zainab, one of his wives, Zainab bin Jahsh, may Allah be pleased with her. He said, what for? They said, Ya Rasulullah, she prays so long as she's fresh and active, and if she feels bored and tired, she hangs on it. The Prophet ﷺ said, undo it. لِيُصَلِّ أَحَدُكُمْ نَشَاطَهُ فَإِذَا فَتَرَ فَلْيَقْعُدْ. Let one of you pray as long as you feel fresh and awake. But if you're sleepy, then it's best to rest. Our reference in this hadith that the Prophet's wife used to pray not only the fard, but a nafil as well, and a tahajjud in the masjid. And the Prophet ﷺ did not object to the prayer itself. He objected to making it too much and exceeding the limits until you get bored or praying while you're lazy. So it is permissible for a woman to attend the prayer in the masjid with one single condition, her husband's permission, or the wali's, the guardian's permission. So if she joins you to the Taraweeh and you're happy with that, then disregard any other opinion, and Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, we have Brother Dillu from Nigeria. Brother, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please. Brother, are you with us? I think we've lost Brother Dillu there. Brother, if you do call... Oh, are you there?
Dillu, yeah.
Oh, mashallah, you're there, Billy. Your question, please, brother.
Good afternoon, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, I'm being disturbed. Whenever I spray perfume on the body during the Ramadan fast, my wife used to be disturbing me all the time that it is un-Islamic. There's a praying of perfume.
So, could you repeat the question? What's un-Islamic? Could you repeat the question, brother?
Oh, okay. As I was saying, please, my wife.
Yes.
She intimidating me. Used to be disturbing me all the time that I don't have to be spraying perfume on the body, to spray perfume during the...
Okay, I got the question there, brother. Jazakallah khair. This Brother Billu there from Nigeria. Jazakallah khair, brother, for your question then. Okay, the previous question, Sheikh. We got a question here from Sister Zainab from Nigeria. Are we allowed to watch... She said movies here, comedy movies, but generally I'll ask the question, to watch television in general in the month of Ramadan, a very spiritual month, a very, very important month for the Muslims. Are we allowed to watch it in television and not do any ibadah? Are we allowed to mix?
Other than the prohibitions during fasting, such as eating and drinking and having an intimate relationship with your spouse, whatever is prohibited outside Ramadan is prohibited during Ramadan. And whatever is permissible is permissible. So there is no specific ruling to Ramadan. Then after Ramadan, you're on your own. And we notice that a lot when people try to be righteous, try to be devout worshippers, and to recite Quran, etc. during Ramadan. And once Ramadan is over, they even quit praying.
Subhanallah.
We say that the Lord of Ramadan is the Lord of the rest of the year. It's not only 1 month, it is a 12 month, it is the whole year round. So you keep in mind that if you are observing Allah and you know that He's watching you in Ramadan, He's doing the same outside Ramadan as well. So as far as answering the question, it depends on the contents of the movie you're watching. If there is any prohibition in it, and I don't have to go in details, but you know, if there is awra exposed, if there are lies, and so on, then if there is mixing between men and women, and you get to see the awra and so on, that is prohibited, whether in Ramadan or outside Ramadan. So you get to determine whether you get to watch this or not.
Jazakallah Sheikh. Okay, Brother Shakil from the United Arab Emirates, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please, brother.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
First of all, welcome back to Sheikh Muhammad Salah.
Thank you.
I got two questions. How much is a wife entitled to her husband's money, considering that she's not working? Is there any percentage mentioned in any hadith?
Okay.
The second question is someone allowed to pray Salah in a sitting position if he or she is physically able to pray it while standing?
Okay.
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah feek. Okay, that's Brother Shakil there. It's in the United Arab Emirates. Okay, Sister Afaf from Egypt. Sister, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I just want to ask, when the young children die, do they go straight to heaven? Because some people say they wait at the gate waiting for their parents. I just want to know, do they go straight to heaven?
Okay.
Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Afaf there from Egypt. Okay, Sheikh, I've got a question here from Brother Mansour from Nigeria. He's saying that his wife, okay, she's bleeding while she's pregnant and she's bleeding. He says so she's not fasting, okay. He says now she's not going to be able to fast. What does she do? Does she pay money, fidya, or does she make up her fast later on?
Okay. First of all, we would like to determine, is the bleeding due to the menses or due to some irregular sickness and suffering, stress and so on. If it is due to the menses, it could happen that a few cases that a woman may be pregnant, meanwhile still having the menses. That happens. It is rare, but it happens. If she's experiencing the menses, of course she must not fast. It is prohibited to fast or to pray or to perform tawaf while minister waited. But if it is irregular bleeding, that's another case, which is if she can fast even though she's pregnant, she must fast. But if she is sick, if she's tired, and the doctor said it's not healthy for yourself nor for the child, then she's permissible to take Allah's permit and not to fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. Whosoever witnesses while present and healthy the month of Ramadan, he or she must observe its fasting. وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخْرى. And one who is sick or traveling is permitted not to fast, providing they should make up the same number of days which they skipped during Ramadan whenever they return, they become resident, or whenever they feel better. Many people think that due to pregnancy or breastfeeding, right away you go and you pay the fidya for each day that you did not fast, you feed one miskin, which is not true. Paying the fidya is only limited to a person who is chronically ill and is not expected to heal, or senility. The doctors say that due to, for instance, renal failure, severe hyper or hypotension, or diabetes, very advanced, you cannot fast. You have to take your medication regularly, a lifetime. In this condition, this person will be exempted and he doesn't have to ask about this question every single Ramadan. Skip fasting period and feed for each day one single miskin, what's equivalent to 1 sa' of food or 1.5 kilogram of food.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, the last call of the day, Sister Adawiya from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Sister, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I'm a Filipino, so I have 3 questions.
Okay.
Today, I'm here in Saudi. I want to ask my situation. I know traveling is not allowed to a single woman unless she has mahram with. So, what about us who go abroad to work? And I'm here already in Saudi, so we take the opportunity to perform Umrah with my co-worker female.
Yeah.
And my second question is, I have problem with my menstruation. After 3 days of my menstruation, no blood comes out, as in completely nothing. In the next 3 days, blood comes out again. So, should I fast within the day when the blood is not coming out?
Okay.
Okay.
And the third one, when menstruation near to end, then the blood comes out during night only. During the day, is the fasting valid or not? Or should I pray in that day or no?
Fine.
Okay. Barakallah Fiki. Okay. Sister Adawiya there from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Well, Jazakallah khair Sheikh for all your answers today. We've come out, that's the end, all the time we have today. Please do try to call us in right at the beginning of the show. Our telephone number again, just to remind you, its country code is 202, then it's 38555 248 and 249. Well, until next time, I'll leave you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ramadan is here, recite the Quran. Ramadan is here, recite the Quran. Ramadan is here, recite the Quran. We pray to Allah to put right our hearts, ask for forgiveness and make a new start. Raising our hands we ask for His rahmah. Hear us our Lord and grant us Jannah. Ramadan is here, the month that is blessed. Ramadan is here, the month we love best. Ramadan Fatawa.